Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today, guys, we're gonna do part number 6. That's right, part number 6 of our 1971 Nutting and Associates Computer Space Arcade Game Restore. Yes, guys, the very first commercial video game of all time right here. So let's quickly review, because in the last video, we actually accomplished quite a bit, because we had Warren and Adam here, who are two good friends, both engineers, both much smarter than me, and we got the game working pretty much 100% in the last video. And honestly, I was beside myself. I was stoked. So we're gonna continue down the path in this video right here. And my plan is this. Actually, I have to tell you guys a few things, because since the last video, things went to hell over there. Honestly, the TV went south in a major way in the last video, okay? Like really south, okay? Basically what was happening was the picture was losing sync, okay? The picture was rolling, right? And then over time, the picture started losing contrast completely. Like, you couldn't see anything. It was just like a gray screen, okay? And honestly, I've been fiddling around with the computer space quite a bit the last week, and actually I've been posting little update videos to my Twitter feed. If you go to twitter.com/BLKDOG7, I have some links to some unlisted videos. Now, I didn't put them on the YouTube channel because they're only like a minute long. They're with my cell phone. I don't want to lure up my YouTube channel, so I was just posting links on Twitter. But anyway, I've been messing around with that TV big time the last week here, and I discovered quite a few things. And let's go over here and we'll just kind of catch up a little bit since the last video, because actually quite a bit has happened, okay? Because I just couldn't keep my hands off the game the last week here. So let's kind of quickly review, okay? And the one thing that I did do since the last video, and I'll show you guys, is I installed one of the original power supplies in here, okay? Now, I did not, oh my God. It's not gonna be a computer space video unless I hit Frogger with my butt. And every time I hit it, I start a two-player game, of course, right? So let me kill all the frogs here. So anyway, let me turn the game on really quick. And let me turn my little fluke on here. I have the leads here monitoring the voltages. So, okay, let's kind of review, because a lot of stuff has happened since the last video. So the first thing I did, just for the heck of it, I decided to try one of the original power supplies. Now, this one that's in here right now is the one that we got on eBay, okay? It's not the original one, but it is the same model. It's just a newer version. It's made in 1991, opposed to the original, which is right here. And so this is the original one right here, okay, that we did rebuild. But what I discovered was that the game now will run on this power supply right here, because I believe that when we replaced these parts, whatever parts we replaced, I think was causing the power supply to shut down. So we actually fixed an issue, I believe, when we replaced a part in the last video that now allows this power supply to work without shutting down. Now, I also, for the heck of it, threw in the original one, and this one does shut down. So this power supply still has an issue, but this new old stock one that we get on eBay works great, and we're gonna run with it for now, and then maybe I'll revisit this at a later date. So anyway, let's take a look at the screen here, okay? And I wanna show you guys something here. What we're looking at right now is the best that this picture has ever looked. Like seriously, it is the best it's ever looked. Because if you guys saw in the last video, you kind of noticed that I was starting to lose contrast towards the end of the video. The screen was not very black, and it was very low contrast. It was almost like a gray picture. And as I left the game on, there was no contrast between the stars in the background, the UFOs in the background, and it was just like this very pale, light gray image, and it was just horrible. And so I started screwing around with the TV, and basically what I discovered is that I had a bad tube, okay? And the tube that was causing all the trouble was the video output tube, and right now, the TV is absolutely rock solid since I changed that tube, and I'll show you which tube I'm talking about right here. So it's this tube in the center right there. Now that's the video output tube. Originally, we took that tube from the eBay donor TV, and apparently that tube was on its last legs, okay? And I let the game run for like a couple hours last week, and that's when it started really showing the faults here. And I've been kind of letting this TV run and run and run because I kind of want to quote-unquote burn it in. And right now, it is just rock solid. I mean, the picture is dialed in. It's not twitching. It's not moving. It's not breathing. It's not losing sync. It's actually perfect in every way. And I'm really tempted to just stop working on the TV. And I'll tell you, I actually been talking to some guys on the antique radio forum. That's right. So I've been hanging out with some old dudes, I'm guessing, and a lot of them told me to just leave this thing alone. Don't worry about the capacitor, because they said that this TV has no signs or indications that I need to replace this this multi-cap right here. So I think for now we're going to leave that alone. I think what I do want to do though, and we'll probably do it in this video, is I want to replace the rest of the tubes. Now I don't think we're going to gain anything by doing that, simply because the picture's so rock solid. But since I've got these tubes, I figure why not? Let's just replace one at a time and see what happens. But I don't want to start there in this video. Oh yeah, one more thing. The fan is really quiet now and it's working great. I actually came in with some compressed air and I just sprayed, actually removed the fan. Wasn't trivial. I know I didn't really film all this stuff. I was just tinkering last week at night. Like, I come home from work, I'd be down here, and I'm like, oh, I'll just clean the fan. And I would remove it and spray it with compressed air. And the fan was actually hard to get off, but once I got it off, I just took a can of compressed air and just sprayed all of the dirt and dust that was on the rim of this, because it was really clogged up, and basically the fan was hitting all this like almost like mud that was in there, and I just blew it all out with this. And the fan right now, it's working perfect. It's not noisy. It starts up every time. So I think that we're done with the fan. I'm going to leave it alone. So right now, you can see the power supply is running a rock solid 5.029 volts measured at the power supply. I'll tell you that I measured at one of these chips here too, and I'm getting about 4.9-ish, 4.95. So it's rock solid. I'm going to leave it alone. I've had it running for hours this week, and everything seems to be working just great. So what are we going to do in this video? Well, the one thing I want to do in this video that might be a little foolish, because really everything's working now, okay? But I really do kind of feel strongly about changing the electrolytic capacitors on the boards. I'm dreading doing this because it's going to be tedious, but I really think it's a good idea. So Toth Wolf on the John's Arcade forum, he put together a bill of materials for me, okay? Basically all the caps I need to order from Mouser in like a little Excel file. And it's kind of slick because you can go to the Mouser website, you upload this bill of materials, and it just populates like a shopping cart and you order it. And Toth felt very strongly about me using the axial capacitors, just like they did originally. The reason being is that the caps that we ordered are not low ESR caps, because back in the day when they made this game, there was no such thing as low ESR caps. Actually, there's no such thing as radial caps. And when we're saying axial and radial, it's basically the form factor of the cap, okay? And so you can see here, this is an axial cap. It's got leads on either end, okay? Just like an axle on a car, like Adam said. So one leads on this side, one leads on the other side. Today, it's more common to get radial caps where both leads are on one side. However, the caps today are all low ESR or equivalent series resistance, whatever. And he thought that if we changed the values of those caps with ones that are low ESR, it could potentially mess with the gameplay, because these caps are used for all kinds of timings and rotation speeds and sounds and all of that stuff. And if we change the ESR value, it could potentially change the experience and the feel of the game, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to go through the trouble and the effort of replacing them with basically the same caps that were on there from the factory. So what I want to do is I want to do one board at a time, and we're going to take our time and just replace a cap at a time. So I want to do the top board first, which is going to be the hardest board to do. I just kind of want to get it over with. I just turned the game off. So the top board is the memory board, okay? And let's just kind of review. I have my original manual here. So the top board is the memory board, okay? So this one controls rocket image generation, saucer image generation, the rocket rotation. Now, we already fixed that we replaced one of the caps that handled the rotation, so that's fixed. It also handles sound generation. So after we change these caps, the game might sound better. you know, then, I mean, actually right now it sounds pretty good. We should coin up and just kind of play a quick game just so we have a kind of a reference point. I just turned it back on. The top board also handles rocket missile directional control, rocket thrust indication, and rocket speed command generation. So potentially changing the caps could affect all of this stuff and make it a little more refined and a little bit more a little closer to how it was originally intended. So I'm gonna go coin the game up just so we can kind of compare the sounds, kind of a before and after. And personally, I think the sounds sound pretty good right now, I have to say. I'm gonna press start. Okay, so this is kind of our before, and I think it actually sounds good. So that's the rotate right there. That's thrust. That's the explosion sound. That's the fire missile sound. Okay? So let's consider this kind of a before, okay? And let's kind of look at the video. So I don't know if anything's going to change after we do this. Let me kind of come in here. We still have to fix that button. Okay, so that's a before. So let's just kind of get to work here. Again, I've been kind of putting this off all week. I'm kind of dreading it. And yeah, the video's late. You know, it was Easter, guys. So I had to spend some time with the family last night. But anyway, all right, let's pull out the board. Again, I want to just do one board at a time. All right, and we're going to do the memory board first. And let's pull this guy out. And so you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 15 caps on here, which I guess isn't too bad. The rest of the boards are going to be pretty easy. This next one has 4 caps, and then the back board only has a few too. But all right, so let's get to work. Let's come over to the desk here. I got my soldering iron and desoldering iron all heating up here, and we'll just do the first couple together, and then I'll do the rest off camera because it's just going to be kind of a rinse and repeat thing. And by the way, guys, this right here is an air purifier. Everyone asks me about this. What is that thing, John? What does that do? You know, when I had the French drain installed down here, they came down here with jackhammers, right? And they basically dug a trench all the way around my basement. Well, that generated so much dust, okay? And it was just kind of like toxic down here. So I bought this air purifier, and it really just kind of cleaned things up. And I do let it run most times. I just didn't want my basement to kind of smell like a basement or feel like a basement. And so I think with this thing and my dehumidifier, it kind of helps out. It makes it nice and comfortable down here. But I don't really run this as much as I used to. When we first came down here, right after I did the French drain, it was running 24 hours a day. But lately, the last year or two, it hasn't been running much at all. So anyway, all right, let's just get to work here. So I've got my desoldering iron all heated up here and my welder. Now, the one thing we got to really pay attention to, and it's going to suck, is the polarity, okay? Because the polarity is not marked on these boards at all, okay? And I'm just wondering the best way to handle this. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a marker, and I want to very subtly just mark the negatives, okay? So if we look at the first cap we're going to replace right here, which is a 16-volt 47 UF. Now, some of the values of these caps have changed. So this is 220 UF. Let's see, we're looking for 47. 22 UF, 50 volts, 10 microfarad. 47 UF, 50 volts. Okay, so we're going to use that. That's 4.7, and that's 100 microfarad. Okay, so let's replace this one first. Again, in this corner right here, that's 47 microfarad, 16 volts. And I'm just going to take my marker, and I'm going to mark just negative, okay? Just to be safe, very subtly. I know this is an original board, and maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't know, but I'm worried about doing this wrong, and I'm just kind of looking around here if there is a pattern to this, and it does actually look like. So this whole plane right here is negative for all of these. I can see that right now. So if we keep that in mind, we won't actually have to mark the board to do this whole row. So anyway, let's just kind of get to work here. So we got to get these two off here, and I'm just going to try doing it with my Hacko desoldering iron without even adding new solder, which I usually would do. But let's just see how it behaves first. This actually might go pretty smooth. We'll see what happens here. I can tell the cap just wants to fall right out here. Bloop. Okay. And you can see how they did it, right? Because they didn't have radial caps, so they bent the axial down, okay? And so positive was right there and negative goes in that outside. So let's go ahead and grab a new one. And we'll do the first couple together and then I'll do the rest on my own. Okay, so these are the new ones. Supposedly these are not low ESR. Okay, so negative... Okay, so negative is that lead, okay? So you can see there's an arrow pointing up, okay? So that's negative, and then this side here is positive, okay? So the arrow is pointing to negative. See that little symbol? Negative. So we're going to bend this down. Oh, man, I sure hope the lead is long enough. Oh, it's not, guys. That's a problem. The leads are not long enough on this. Look at that. We can't use that. Let's see what happens here. Boy, I don't know. And we might get away with that. It barely reaches. Like, barely reaches. Barely reaches. Boy, this could be a problem for us as we're doing this. I might have to rethink these parts. Let's see if we can get a little more meat by bending this even more. And this might work. Maybe it will. Yeah, that's certainly enough there. You could see it's just kind of barely sticking out. So let me go ahead and just tack this in here. I'm just kind of holding. Just going to grab some solder here. And I'm going to come in and just see if we can tack that in. Okay. And then let me go ahead and add solder to the other one here. All right, let's take a look at our work here. So it's in there. Well, I guess if the rest of them go like that, we might be okay. It's not ideal, though. I really wish the leads were longer. So I'm going to come in here and just trim this. Okay. So I did the first one with you guys. I'm going to keep going. If I encounter anything weird or different, I'll come back here and show you. But you kind of see what we're doing. We're just doing it one at a time. Positive to positive, negative to negative. And I'm really just paying attention where negative is. And so like the next one here is 47. So wait. 16 volt, 47. So the next one's the same. All of these here are... I'm curious, too, if we put this in our little tester, see if we get... let me see if I have enough meat on here to test this. Okay. Alright, let's test it. So that's supposed to be 47 microfarad. I don't know if I have the leads in all the way, but we'll find out really quick. And this is a cheapo, like $26. Wow, it's testing at 64, and it's supposed to be 47. So, and our ESR is 0.55. So, I mean, that's definitely not in spec. You know, I think the values on these are plus or minus 5% or something. So that's 64 microfarad. And our ESR is 0.55 ohms. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. And then if we were to compare it to one of our new ones, I'm just curious. So let's go ahead and just test this one. Dropped it. So 1 and 3. Lock her down, press test. So this one is testing at 46.86. It's like right in the money. And it's supposed to be 47, so these are way in spec. So who knows? Maybe the game will behave differently. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead here and do all these 47 microfarad ones, and then I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm just kind of chugging along here. I've got these 4 47 microfarad ones replaced. Just double checking my work. I did it so that I'm always bending down the negative lead. That way I can kind of easily check my work. And negatives are all pointing up, so we're good. Okay, so the next cap right here, if you look at it, it's a 250 microfarad, 15 volts. Now, this value is not common anymore because I guess over the years, as time has gone on, they've kind of standardized the microfarad values. And back in the day, 250 might have been common, not common these days. So we're going to be replacing it with a 220 microfarad, 35 volts, okay? And so the voltage can be higher. Because right now this one's rated at 15. You want to have the microfarad value be the same, but it shouldn't probably matter. I don't know what this cap does. I'm guessing, hopefully it's not, and praying it's not something critical. But I think that we're going to be close enough at 220 microfarad. Actually, we should measure this one just for the heck of it to see. Now, this one's labeled all kinds of positive signs here on the bottom. So that means this top lead here is negative, and so I put a little black mark right there. So why don't we do this one together? And I also want to test it in our little device. So I'm going to come in here, and by the way, this is working great, and I did put a 1 millimeter tip in here to hold well. So, all right, so let's come in here and just pop this guy out. Okay, it should just fall right out. Bloop. Okay, so I'm curious. Let's test this guy, and I've been testing these as I've been removing them, just kind of spot checks. So this one's supposed to be 250 microfarad. Let's see what we end up with here. Let's clamp that down. Okay, let's see how it tests. I'm really kind of digging this little device, guys. For 26 bucks, this thing's awesome. It tests everything. Transistors, resistors, capacitors. I think we'll be using this thing a lot. I don't know if it's a gazillion time. Oh my god, this thing's way off. It's 319 microfarad, and it's supposed to be 250. So we're going to be way closer to spec here. So, all right, so let's go ahead and put the 220 in. That guy in Clove, his name was Pong74LS, whatever. He put together a bill of materials, which we use as kind of a guide here to order this stuff from Mouser. And I'm going to go ahead and bend back the negative lead. And thankfully, this cap here, look at that. We got way more meat to play with. That's great. And let's go ahead and stick it in. Whoops. You know, I thought this was going to be kind of a pain in the butt using these radials in this kind of form factor. It's really not. It's not a big deal. So right there. So let's go ahead and solder this. I'll bend that one back like so. Let's kind of zoom in here. I'm gonna don't want to use too much solder. I did find, though, using a little extra solder on the other ones with the shorter leads was actually helping because the solder was going to the top and it was grabbing the leg of the capacitor on the top, which I needed it to do because the leg was so short. Now you can see we're kind of crooked there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of correct this. See how it's kind of crooked? I don't like that. I'm just gonna heat this up and just kind of bend it so it's straight. There. That looks way more pro. And that's negative on top to negative where our little black mark is. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the leads off of here. And so yes, real straightforward. I'm just going to keep going and just double check our work here. That looks pretty good, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to go. So I'm going to keep going and we'll come back. Just want to share something with you guys. So I just yanked this cap right here. And look at it. It's leaking. It's goo. It's electrolytic stuff that's in there. And I'm just curious. Let's test this thing. I think I found a seriously bad cap right here. I have to say it is kind of fun to test this stuff as you remove it. So it did leave a little bit of residue on the board. I'm wondering if I should get my flux pen. It's actually not on the pad. It's on the actual... So that one's testing at 64 microfarad, and it's supposed to be 47. Actually, it's not testing much different than the other ones. And I'm looking at the goo it kind of left on the board. It's not on the pad. It's just like on the board itself, so I'm just kind of scraping it off. I think it looks okay. The metal itself, the pad looks fine. So that was a 47. So let's go ahead and grab one more here. And our negative is right there. God, it just really gives us no meat to play with at all on these 47s. Really short leads. So this one is going to be a little tricky here. Yeah, we're poking through. I think we'll be okay. So what I've been doing is just kind of holding it with my hand and then just kind of tacking it. Let me just make sure we're poking through, and we are. And I just come in here and just kind of grab some solder. Just put it on the tip of my iron and then just tack it. Didn't grab enough. Alright, so that leg's in right there. So now I can kind of relax and go ahead and just do the other one. Yeah, I mean, there's just barely enough of the leg sticking out here. So we got that one in. Boy, that thing is crooked. This one I think is going to have to be crooked because there's just not enough meat to make it there. I'm just making sure it's not... See this one right here, how crooked it is? I mean, it was barely poking out. So I think we just have to let that one lean. There's nothing I can do. And it's not touching anything. And you know, everything is soldered where it's supposed to be soldered. So anyway, all right, I'm going to keep going, do the rest of these, and I'll be back. Okay, guys, we're all done. I have all the caps replaced here. I'm just going to double check my work. For the most part, they all went in pretty smooth. The 47 microfarad, for whatever reason, those ones had extra short leads, and they were tricky to get in. So you could see this one had to be just kind of leaning like this because the holes were too far apart. But in general, they all look pretty good. I'm just double checking my work. I want all my negatives to be up. I did put little black dots where the negatives were, and honestly, if I didn't do that, this would have been really hard to do. Yeah, I know I drew black marks on the original PCB, whatever. There was just no other way to do this. So I'm just making sure all my negatives are up and going into the black dot area. Negative up, negative up, negative up, negative up, negative up. Okay, so it all looks pretty good, double checking. And also, while I was doing this, there was a few leads that were really close to each other, and I did do a continuity check just to make sure I didn't get any beeps and they weren't touching, and they weren't. And as I was going along, I was doing some little spot checks with my little tester here. Like, for instance, this is a 10 microfarad cap that's in here right now. So if I were to test this, let's see how it turns out here. So this one is testing at 16, you know, so it's 60% off. So in general, they are all just way off. Nothing was really within 10, 20%. They're all like 50, 60% off. So, all right, let's put this back in the game, and hopefully we did this right, and I didn't break anything. So, oh wait, there's one more cap down here. We should do that one, huh? Okay, let's replace that one really quick. So this one right here is a 250 microfarad, 15 volts. So that's going to be one of the 220s, I believe. And which is these guys right here. Yeah, this is 220, 35 volts. So why don't we just go ahead and do this one together, I guess. So negative on this one is over here, going to this big rail. Some of them are really obvious, but I just feel like marking the board is just a little more foolproof, because I really don't want to screw this up. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this one real quick. This one has some big leads here. And by the way, this Hacko just rules. It truly does. I don't know how I live without that thing. So let's pull it out. Real simple. You guys want to test this one? We could test it while we're soldering in the other one. Put that in 3. And might not be able to fit this one in here. Let's see if we can get it in. There's there. Yeah, I'm totally digging this little thing. I mean, for the money, even if it's in the ballpark, just relatively close, it's pretty spectacular. And it's going to be really fun to test transistors with this thing, because you don't need to know what the base, collector, and emitter are. It just kind of automatically finds them for you. But you can see here, I mean, I guess we can get some test leads. Whatever. I can't get it in. Let's just replace this cap. So we need the 220, which is right here, and there was a 250 in there. So this is 220, 35 volts. And we have our negative right here. Come on, John. Our positive is over here. Just like so. Alright, so let's go ahead and solder this guy in. So this wasn't too bad. You know, it's no different than doing a cap kit on a monitor. Kind of therapeutic. This PCB is pretty hardy in general, which I'm very happy about, because you know, some of these older boards are just garbage. I mean, you look at them and the traces fall off, and that's just not the case. This is a pretty well made board for its day, I have to say. Alright, so that's in. Let's cut the leads. And of course, you always want to cut above the solder. Don't cut the solder when you do it. Alright, so that's good. So let's come over here and let's test the board out. And again, hopefully we didn't screw anything up, because that would stink. Negative to negative. So let's go ahead and slide this guy in. Hopefully nothing blows up when we turn it on. Now I am curious though, I mean, is the game going to behave a little differently? We're not in. Because we pretty much capped all the sounds and the motion. And really, this is probably the most critical board of all of them. Alright, so we're in. Let's turn it on. So nothing has exploded. No caps have popped. And I'm coming up front here to look at the TV. Let's take a look here. Uh-oh. Our power supply... Oh, boy. It's resetting. That's bad, guys. Let me turn this off. The power supply is dropping. Why? Are those capacitors now? Not good. So let me get my alligator clips here and we're going to check our voltages. So this was happening before, I have to tell you. When I put the this power supply in there, at first when I was testing it, it was resetting like that. So I don't know if the caps need to get charged up or something. Does that even make sense? But let's just test the voltages and see what's happening here. I don't believe I put any cap in wrong, and I really do think I did it right. So who knows? Maybe these fresh caps now are so in spec that... All right, let's put it on DC volts. Let's turn it on. Look at that, 1.6 volts. You know, just reseat it just for the hell of it. 1.6 volts. I really don't think I screwed this up. Negative. 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 I'm just looking at my work here. Negative. 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 This sucks. Negative. 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 I did this right! I'm at a loss right now. Let's think about this. Let's just kind of inspect the board. I mean, is it possible that the old crap, like... I don't know what to do right now. Let me think about this. Replace the caps. I guess I'll do a quick continuity test. I really don't... I know I didn't bridge these. Negative. I just want to find something that's wrong. I don't see anything that's wrong. Alright guys, let me think about this. And we'll be back. Alright, here's what I want to do. I want to do the amp test that Warren showed me. So I'm going to put my meter, put the red here in amps. And I'm going to put this on amps right here. And we're going to put this in series with our power supply. So I'm going to come in here and just remove the positive wire from the power supply. And we're going to see what happens here. I gotta remember how to do this. So we need to get in between the power supply and this. So I'm just gonna come in here, take some alligator clips, and just clip our, let's see, positive. Because we basically want to insert the meter in the middle of all this. So I'm gonna come in here. Just gonna alligator clip my meter to this. Carefully, like so. And then we're going to take our wire, our positive wire. I'm just going to let this dangle. Make sure it's touching nothing. And then let's take our positive wire. Where did that go? Right here. I'm just going to hold it on here. Like so. Alright, so if I did this right, we've now inserted the meter into the equation. Turn it on. Okay, you guys ready? .3 amps. Can that be right? 0.3 amps? Hang on a second. Let me double check this. All right, guys. Here's what I did. I just hooked up the switching power supply again. And by the way, I was totally measuring the amps again. I was getting 0.3 amps. I think, though, because this thing kept shutting down, we weren't getting an accurate reading of what it was really drawing. But look, we're fine. Everything's back to normal. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this. I really don't. Oh, wow. Okay, now look we got twitching again now. Look at this. God bless America. So, put it on test here. So, we're getting a little bit twitching on the top there, and I don't know if that's capacitor rated. Huh. Boy, it really makes me kind of wonder if I should have just left those damn caps alone. Alright, let's coin up and see if anything sounds different here. I think the pitches of the sounds are a little bit different. Boy, I don't know what to make of this, guys. So it sounds about the same, I think. I don't like this. It was not doing that prior to those caps. I wonder if it's voltage related. I think I'm going to dial the voltage down just a hair. Okay, I turned the voltage down a little bit and I adjusted the TV just a hair, and I don't know, I kind of think I have it in the same state it was prior to this. Picture does seem solid. Those little stars are just kind of twitching there on the top. I don't know if it was like that before. I didn't really notice that before. I don't know. I should probably do draw right now, amperage draw, to see what it's drawing with that power supply. I think that would be a good exercise. Yeah, why don't I do that really quick? So let's go ahead and test that. I'll get set up. All right, so I'm about to turn it on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my positive meter on 5 volts, and I move the positive to the amp thing here, and then I'm just going to hold this here like so. So let me go ahead and just turn... This is DC volts, so I'm not going to get shocked or anything. So let's kind of come in here. See what the draw is. Oh. Hang on. Duh. So it's about 2.6 amps, which is what it was before. So the draw has not changed at all, guys. It's drawing the same amount of amps as it was before. I'm kind of thinking this might be a coincidence. I don't know. Maybe maybe these caps now are just like so hungry because they're brand new that it's overwhelming this old power supply. But my amperage draw has not changed at all. It was 2.6 amps before when I tested it with the original new old stock power supply. So I'm going to say that our work is good and that the issue we have here is still a power supply issue. I think that, again, these brand new caps, they're hungry. The old ones couldn't hold as much of a charge, and I think they're just overwhelming that that new old stock one. So you know what? We're gonna keep moving forward here. Okay, I'm not gonna freak out about this because I still think we have a power supply issue. I really do. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the middle board and let's cap that one. Alright guys, I have the middle board out, and let's just kind of review here, because it's interesting to see what the boards do, okay? So the middle board is the motion board. Its function is, the functions that it controls are saucer motion, saucer missile motion and image, saucer direction, rocket missile motion and image. So this could potentially clean up that. Again, you know, we're not really having any symptoms of stuff being out of whack, but these caps are all definitely bad. So I'm going to come in here and just... Actually, look at this. They labeled positive on these. Can you believe that? So on this board, they did label positive. And let's just kind of see what we have here. 250 microfarad, 100 microfarad. Can't see this one. It's upside down. So we're going to need the 220s for this. Let me grab those. So this is 220, okay? And then this one here is 100 microfarad. It's 4.7. We're almost done with this. Here's 100 microfarad right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just start yanking these. And, you know, same deal. Again, these are labeled positive, so I don't have to put too much thought into it. So I'll just do like the first one with you guys, and then I'll do the rest. Boy, I gotta tell you, I don't know what's up with that power supply. It's really weird that it doesn't work now. Something tells me that, you know, like after I let these caps run with the switching power supply, that it might work again. I don't know. Alright, this is 250 microfarad, 15 volts. So let me grab the 220, which is this one. And negative is over here. Okay. Just make sure my negative is right here. Yeah, negative is pointing backwards. So I'll go ahead and just solder this guy on with you guys, and then do the rest. So I guess the worst of it's over. That first board was the hardest one to do, especially because of the way the caps were. Alright. Just want to do a quick continuity test here. Make sure it didn't bridge. I'm burning my mouse again. John needs a proper workbench. Okay. Nothing's bridged there. So let me just clip these leads. If I can find my side cutters. Here they are. So pretty simple stuff here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next three, and then we're done with this board. Alright guys, all the caps are replaced, so let's put this board in now and see if anything changes. I mean, really, I don't want anything to change. This is kind of almost, to me, just like maintenance what we're doing. I'm not expecting any kind of drastic improvements, and I don't really want anything to change at all because everything was working just groovy. I'm just doing this because these caps are like 40 years old. And there's just absolutely no way these things are even close to in spec. Okay. All right, you guys ready? Let's give it a shot. So right now I have the voltage around 4.8 at the board, 4.8 volts, which is fine. I know the manual says that you want to be like 4.5 to 5.3 or something. Really big swing. You know, these are TTL chips, not CPU chips, so there's a much larger tolerance. All right, so we got something on the screen here. All right, so those caps control the saucer motion and stuff, so I don't know, maybe it's smoother. God, this wiggle here. That bothers me, I have to tell you. Because I wasn't Jesus. So, whatever. Those caps fix something, I don't know what. Maybe when we cap the Star Sync board, that'll fix that. Let me kill myself here. I'm going to coin up the game, and let's just see if anything's changed. And by the way, I'm running out of quarters, and I can't get to that coin bucket. Alright, you guys ready? So I don't know if anything's changed. Well, maybe the thrusting's a little more exaggerated. I kind of think it is, actually. The thrusting behind our ship, I think, is more exaggerated. It's a little more prominent. I think we did fix something. Yeah, I definitely think the thrusting is more prominent. By the way, you can steer the missiles. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Okay, so let's move on to the next board. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the back board out, and we'll cap that too. Almost done. Okay, the back board is out, and let's just kind of review really fast here. So the back board is called the Sync Star board. It generates the stars, okay? Number generation, scoring and timing, coin and hyperspace circuitry, vertical and horizontal syncing signals for the TV, sound power supply. So there's a power supply back there for the sound, and explosion circuitry. So it does a lot of stuff. Actually, the stuff that's all wrong right now, the kind of twitching, could be on this board. I don't know. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 capacitors. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace these. The same, you know, no different than what we've done on the other boards. So, I mean, you guys have seen me do it enough times tonight. I think you got the drill. So I'll be right back. I'm going to change all these. They're all 250 microfarad, which we're going to put a 220 in. So we're going to be pretty close. So I'm going to change all these and be right back. All right, guys, I have all the caps on the third board, which was, what was that board called? The Star Sync board, the Sync Star board. All right, so let's put everything back together here, and hopefully everything is still working. I think what we did here today was pretty low risk. However, obviously something happened where it's overloading the power supply and it's shutting down. I wonder if I can ask Ed Freeze to do an amp test. I wonder what his is drawing. I wonder what's normal. Be very curious to find that out. Okay. Alright, we got the boards back in. Alright, guys, you ready? Let's try this. Still want to replace the tubes. I don't know if we're going to do that in this video. We're going to have to end it soon here. It's 9 o'clock. It's after 9 on a Monday night here. And I want to edit the video so you guys can watch it on Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully Tuesday if things go well. Alright, so the picture's warming up. I'm just kind of looking at the front here. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, it scared me for a second there. Alright, let's come to the front. See if anything's changed. And we still have the twitching on the top here, okay? I don't know. That could be tube related. It could be a coincidence. I don't know what it is. But we were not getting that with the other power supply. So I'm not sure what to make of that, you know. Is this a cheap power supply? Is this thing noisy? I don't know. I should probably get one of my better HAP ones. Actually, look at this. See? It's twitching a little bit. Wasn't doing that before. All right, let's coin up and just make sure everything's still working. Okay. I mean, everything seems pretty much the same. The picture does jump, by the way, when I press the rotate button. So I don't know. Is that a ground issue at the control panel? I don't know. All right, so we replaced all the capacitors. Did anything really change? I don't know. It seems to me that the thrust thing is a little more pronounced on the ship. I do think that that's new. The little pixels behind the ship when you thrust. I don't know, guys. What do you think? I can't tell you it's better than it was because I don't really know. The sound actually seems more annoying. Maybe the sound is correct and it's just annoying. But that high-pitched sound is really high-pitched. So the picture just doesn't seem as stable as it was, and I don't know if that's the power supply doing that or the caps that we replaced. I don't know what to make of it. See, right now though, if I look at it, the picture looks rock solid to me. It really does. Picture looks good. Maybe I'm just being hypersensitive right now because we changed stuff and I'm looking for things. But right now, looking at this picture, it looks exactly the same as it did before. It looks as stable. Yeah, I don't know. All right, guys, we're going to stop here. So we replaced all the capacitors. Tell you what, why don't we sit down, let's do some viewer mail, let's talk about what just happened, and I need to think about stuff that's going on here because why can't I use the original power supply anymore? What has changed? I don't know. So anyway, all right, let's go to the table and do some viewer mail. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the picture. It looks the same. It looks as solid as it did before. It really does. And I don't know if maybe we had that before. I don't know. Let's turn this off. Let's do some viewer mail. I think if I sit here and just study this thing, you know, every little inch of it, I'm going to go insane, honestly. Because it's very easy to obsess over this stuff, isn't it? It truly is. I mean, you just got to let some stuff go. And I don't want to get to that point where we just kind of compromise and move on. But we might get to that point. I don't know. Because I'm not sure what else to do. I mean, I want to replace the tubes. But as far as parts on the board, I don't know. If you guys got some ideas, let's talk about it. Because I'm not really sure right now. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know we just changed the capacitors, but that's actually a big job that I was dreading. And it actually took me all night here to do that. So that was part number 6 of the computer space restore. We're going to come back, part number 7. I think we're going to do the tubes and the control panel. I think I'm going to put the TV back in just so we can get to the control panel and also get to the can, because that thing's loaded with quarters right now because I've been coining that thing up like crazy. So I don't know. We're getting somewhere. You know, we're whittling away at this project little by little. You know, I mean, obviously today I'm by myself. I don't have Warren and Adam here, to, you know, the brain trust to help me. So I think I did okay. I don't know why the power supply's not working anymore. So we're gonna get through this, guys, and we gotta hurry too because the garage is calling me, guys. Quantum is out there ready to come down. All right, let's do some viewer mail. If you guys want to participate in the viewer mail segment, you need to email them to me at blkdog7@gmail.com. That's blackdog7@gmail.com. In the subject line, you have to put viewer mail. Okay, actually, I wanted to show you guys something. I've been meaning to tell you guys about this because if you guys remember, last June, I went to the Southern Fried Game Room Expo, right? and I spoke there, and it was an honor to do that. It really was. It was super cool. I loved it. It was neat, right? And I got to speak at the event, and in the middle of my talk, Walter Day and Billy Mitchell barged in, and they awarded me my own Walter Day trading card. Okay, and I have the big certificate that I'm going to frame down here. But anyway, Walter just sent me my cards, so I have these now. So I'll be sending these out. I don't know. We'll figure out a way. I don't know. Do you guys really want these? I just sent out a couple packages because we did that raffle a few weeks ago, and I threw some of these in there. So I'll be sending these out as I do giveaways, and I don't know if you guys want. All right, I tell you what. Let's keep it simple. The first 3 people to email me, and in the subject line you got to put trading card. That's it. Okay. First 3 people to email me, I'll drop some of these in the mail if you really want them. But this is my Walter Day trading card. It says Superstars of 2015, John Jacobson, award-winning podcaster, Xbox Live Community Podcast of the Year. You know, Video Game Outsiders did win that a long time ago. And anyway, it just talks, it has my little bio. It looks like some stuff Walter got from the internet, but this is pretty cool. It's a cool honor. It says the Walter Day collection of video game and pinball trading cards was created to commemorate the history of the global video game and pinball culture, honoring the people, the games, the technology, and the historic milestones. So yeah, it was an absolute honor to get these. So thank you, Walter. And, there's actually a Walter Day trading card museum in Banning, California at Arcade Expo down there. I guess they got a little wing there, because my card is number 2,396, so I guess he's given out like 2,400 of these, I think, since the 80s. So, I'm in a, it's pretty cool because the other people that have cards, it's like Nolan Bushnell and Hank Chan and Billy Mitchell and then me. So, anyway, if you guys want one of these, first 3 people to email me with trading card in the subject line, I'll send them to you. All right, let's do some viewer mail. BLK.dog7@gmail.com, subject line viewer mail. Hi, John. This is from Ron. Hi, John. Keep up the great work on computer space. Almost there. A couple of questions. Where do you buy most of your marquee replacements, control panel overlays, and side art? Do you make your own coin return button labels? If so, are these available on your website to download? Thank you, Ron Phillips, Oklahoma. Ron. Okay, so artwork. There's basically 4 websites that I trust, okay? And these websites I'm going to tell you about are the types of websites that are going to have silk-screened reproduction artwork, really high-quality artwork, okay? Your first 2 choices, in my opinion, are thisoldgame.com and Phoenix Arcade, okay? And actually, This Old Game Rich does most of Phoenix Arcade stuff. But anyway, phoenixarcade.com and thisoldgame.com. They usually don't overlap. If one site has this, then the other one has that, But I think they're all coming from the same source, thisoldgame.com. So, thisoldgame.com and phoenixarcade.com. Those are your first 2 choices. They don't have everything, but they got a lot of stuff. After that, check out Arcade Shop, okay, which I think is just arcadeshop.com. And then also, Quarter Arcade is good. I would put them at 3rd or 4th, and then Mike's Arcade. But the first 3 you want to check out in order are This Old Game, Phoenix Arcade, and Arcade Shop. And then after that, go to Quarter Arcade and Mike's Arcade. Not that Mike's Arcade and Quarter Arcade aren't good, it's just that they don't have the inventory or specialize it in it like these guys do. But pretty much those 5 shops will have almost everything you need, and they don't really compete with each other. After that, if you're at dead ends, then you're going to have to start looking at digital printing and, I guess, Game On Graphics. I've used them before. They're okay, but that is a last resort because their marquee quality is not too hot. But Rich at thisoldgame.com will do a digital print, reverse printed on glass that is top-notch. And by the way, my Journey is that. That Journey marquee back there is digitally printed on glass, and you can't tell. It's flawless. But getting Rich's attention sometimes is a bit of a challenge. So I'm just telling you. He says, "Do I make my own coin return button labels?" I do. And do I have the artwork? Boy, I'm sure I do somewhere. It seems like every time I need that artwork, I go online and I Google it. and I find a PDF or I recreate it, and I'm sure I've saved it at some point, but I usually just print the coin return labels on, actually, if we look at the iRobot, I printed those. Did I? No, I did not. I did not do those, I remember. I did these over here. I did the Century ones. I did those right there. Those look good, right? So I did those ones, and that's just printed on normal paper, you know, nothing fancy at all. I'm looking around here to see what other ones I did. I don't remember if I did 720. I might have done, I think I did do 720. I don't remember, to be honest. But I know I definitely did, I did do Jump Bug, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did do Jump Bug. Boy, Jump Bug is, that coin door is beat. So, all right, I'll see if I can find the PDF and put a link. If not, maybe someone else can put a link, because I know that the files are out there. You just have to search for them, and every time I need them, I Google for the PDF of them, and then I modify them to my needs or change the fonts, or I just measure and do it from scratch in Illustrator. It's not that hard to do, but I'll see. I think I'll look. If I have the PDF, I'll put a link in the show notes. All right, next one's from Stefan. Hey, John, I love the show. I love seeing such a wide variety of games on display, and I love your trips to various arcades and events. Recently, I fixed up a previously broken MAME cabinet I originally made with my father a decade ago as a tribute to him since he passed away recently. Bummer. I'm sorry, man. It's a project that was in part inspired by your videos and your love for working on these amazing machines. Most of the time, it stays powered down because I've already played the games plenty. My question for you is this. What keeps you coming back to play these games again and again? Do you ever get tired of a particular title? Are you chasing high scores, or do you set other goals for yourself? The games were originally designed for quick engagements rather than long-term play, so I'm curious how you interact with them beyond your great work restoring the hardware, I mean. Thanks, Stefan. Well, Stefan, how do I answer that? So, obviously, the hobby for John is a lot different than it used to be in the beginning, because in the beginning, it was all about playing the games. Playing. And then it kind of evolved to collecting and fixing and restoring, and so that eats up most of my time. But I do come down here at least once a week with my wife, and we play the games. And when I come down here, it's way casual. TV's on, you know, we'll have a drink, and I just go from game to game to game with really no goal in mind. And I am doing I almost never play for high score when I come down here, like in that setting. I just want a little fix. You know, I'll play a quick game of NBA Fast Break. That was an okay game, and I'll move on to something else. And then I'll play Mad Planets, and I'm like, that was fun, and I'll go on to the next game. And I just kind of sample the games when I come down here casually. But there are definitely moments, though, where I say, I'm going to try to get a high score. And actually, when I do that, I usually tape those. When I'm in that mood, you guys will know, because I'll have a John's Quest for video. But for the most part, I'm a very casual player. I don't play for high score. I just play for the quick little escapism, and then I just move on to the next game. So that's me, Stefan. And really, I'm bad at these games. I'm competent at a couple games, and that's about it. So, but I hope you enjoy your MAME cabinet. I think it's super cool that you and your father did that. So definitely enjoy it. All right, next one is from Aaron. Hey, John, first off, let me get all this crap out of the way real fast. I love the channel. I've been watching for several years now. I really appreciate the time you take to make these videos and take us lazy people to different arcades, etc. around the country, so we never have to leave our desk chairs. My question is this. I've heard you many times say you know nothing about or are not a fan of things that I would have bet money on that you were into. For example, in your latest video, you mentioned that you're not a fan of Game of Thrones. Other TV shows, etc. In the past, I've heard you mention, like, you know nothing about the show, or you're not a fan of it, or something like that, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, what? I would have bet a large sum of money that John was a fan of insert whatever TV show, game, music, etc. here. So the question is this. What movies, TV shows, game series, etc. do you actually like? My question is clearly deep and philosophical and will change people's lives, so I expect it has to be in the top 5 of best questions ever asked on viewer mail. Thanks, John, for all you do on your channel. Best wishes from your huge fan base of probably 3 loyal viewers down here in South Texas. Thanks, Slick Ends, Aaron. All right, this is a good question. I like this question. It's fun. It's a fun question. Yes. Okay, so in the last video, we went and visited Lanes and Gaines Arcade, and we played Game of Thrones. And I said I was not a fan of the series. Because I'm not. I've never even seen Game of Thrones one time. So how can I be a fan? Maybe it's good. Maybe if I watch it, I will become a fan. But I've never watched it, so I'm not a fan. All right, so what shows do I like? Okay, currently, right now, my favorite shows are Better Call Saul, because I love Breaking Bad. Okay, so Better Call Saul. Portlandia. I love freaking Portlandia. I can't get enough of Portlandia. so those are probably my top 2 shows right now. What else? I mean, yes, I've had favorite shows historically. Breaking Bad was one I really got into. Silicon Valley, I love Silicon Valley on HBO. I loved that show. I cannot wait for the 2nd season. I loved, what's that hacking show? With Elliot. What is that show called? The Hacking Show with Elliot. Wow, what is that show called? That show is brilliant. I loved that show with Christian Slater. You guys know what show I'm talking about. I love that show. Come on, with Elliot. What is that show called? Whatever. That's that kind of Fight Club hacker type show with Christian Slater. I love that show. Silicon Valley, Better Call Saul, Portlandia, Louis C.K. Oh my God, I love Louis C.K. I miss Louis on FX. I've been watching Horace and Pete. It's okay, but Louis is like top. I mean, if you want to talk about all-time favorite shows? I mean, obviously Seinfeld. You know, all-time favorite movies. You know, I'm a Second City guy. You know, Animal House, Blues Brothers. You know, Stripes. Caddyshack, you know, those are all my favorite movies of all time. And, of course, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. But my top 2 favorite movies, I always say Raiders of the Lost Ark and Blues Brothers. And then I grew up watching all those John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd comedies. I mean, and Bill Murray. That's my scene. I like Wes Anderson stuff. But as far as TV goes, you know, I don't really watch. I watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix. I'm into that, like a lot of music documentaries. I just watched that Slacked show on Netflix. I actually really enjoyed that with Will Arnett. Of course, I love Arrested Development. So, I don't know. Am I answering your question? I love Sopranos. Sopranos blew my mind when that show is out. Oh my God! So I don't know. I'll think about it. But yeah, those are my favorite shows. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I don't watch House of Cards. Although I would like to watch that. I watched the first couple episodes, and it was a little slow for my taste. But I don't know. I like quirky, funny, stupid stuff mostly. So anyway, all right, guys, that's it for this video. I know this video's late, but I did do that video on Saturday at Lanes and Games. But anyway, we'll be back soon and be back to computer space. And I don't know what to do next. I guess tubes and control panel. Let's get everything working. Let's really play the game with all the buttons and really take inventory of what's going on. But I mean, we're this much closer, and maybe when I replace the rest of the tubes, everything will become solid again. I don't know. So I feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. I mean, we're over the main humps here, and stuff's really working. It's just a little flaky still, and it wasn't that flaky until I put that power supply back on, so I don't know what to make of that. That's really interesting. So anyway, all right, guys, that's it for this video. By the way, if you've never subscribed, now is a great time. I release new videos on Sundays and sometimes in between, I guess, kind of like this one. And then also check out my 2 podcasts, actually 3 podcasts, Video Game Outsiders at videogameoutsiders.com, Arcade Outsiders at arcadeoutsiders.com, and then Michelle and I have a new podcast called You Suck Show at yousuckshow.com. Now, that is not a very PC podcast. I'm just warning you. So, it is our observations of the stupidity that is in the world today. So, it might not be for you. So anyway, that's it, guys. We're done. I'll see you very soon. Later, and bye!